In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how we persist data in our iPhone applications. Persisting means storing the data so if the application is shut down or the phone is restarted, we don't lose the data the user has entered. Now, there are many ways of achieving this, but we're going to focus on two. We're going to look at NS user default and we're going to look atplists. The user default is a way to store simple values such as integers, doubles, floats and strings. It's good if you want to store things like usernames, tokens, high scores and so on. To achieve this, we need to have an NS user default object, and I tend to create a private property to it because I need to reference this in many places in my application. Once I've done that, I need to initialize it using the standard user defaults method of the NS user defaults class. And when I've done that, saving values is really simple. Once I've got the user defaults object, I can use it to store primitives and to store objects. And as you can see, I can use set object to store an object, set integer, set double, set float, and each object is referenced by a key, which is an NS string which we can use to refer to the object. What's very important though is we must call the synchronize method, otherwise the changes won't be persisted back to storage. To load the values in, it's just as easy. We create our NS user default object, and then we can call the method string for key, integer for key, object for key, double for key, for instance, to retrieve the values. So it's an incredibly simple mechanism for storing simple pieces of information. The next thing we're going to talk about is something called a property list or a plist. A property list is an XML file which is structured in a way which makes it very easy for Xcode to understand it and to read it and to parse it. To create a plist, we add a new file and we choose the Resources tab, and in there you'll see the option of choosing a property list. And when you first create it, it looks a bit like this. And as you can see, the root is a dictionary, and we can add extra items to this such as arrays and strings. So in this example, I've created a shopping array under the root dictionary, and that shopping array contains two NS strings. Now, let's have a look at this as an XML file. If I right click on the file, I can choose Open As, and if I choose Source Code, I get to see the underlying XML file. And as you can see, under the plist I have a dictionary. I then have a key called shopping, which contains an array with two strings. The clever thing about plists is the root is always a dictionary, and it's very simple to load the entire plist into an NSDictionary object. We simply alloc the dictionary and in it with the contents of file. And once we've done that, because the dictionary allows us to print its contents to the log, we can NS log the contents of our dictionary to make sure it contains the data we expect. And as you can see, this example contains the shopping array with two NS strings. Now, once we have the dictionary, we'd like to extract the array into our NS array. And we can do that by calling the object for key, because remember this is a dictionary, so we can use all the dictionary methods that we know already. So I can simply populate the NS array by calling data object for key shopping. And I can then log that, and as you can see, it logs two string values. Saving to a plist is also really simple. I simply take my dictionary, which in this case is self.data, and call write to file, pass it a path in my documents directory, and make sure you set atomically to yes, which basically means it's not going to be multi-threaded. This is a really handy method to use. This is a little method I created which you might find quite useful. It takes an NS string, which is the name of the plist that you want to access, and it returns the path to the plist in the documents directory. The method checks to see if the plist exists already in documents. If it doesn't, it checks to make sure it's in the bundle. It copies it across if necessary, and then returns its path. So once you've got that, it's dead easy. You simply pull off the path, so self path by copying file shopping.plist, and then I can access the NS mutable dictionary, which is the whole of the plist, and I can access my array data. So hopefully that's given you some ideas of how you can persist data in your applications.